So our current exhibition is called The Poetics of Place. It's an exhibition by 16 artists from Australia. And that's why we're having a talk today in relation to the main exhibition, which is, it's a second issue of the Poetics of Place here in Thailand. The first one was hosted by us in our first space in 2014. So that's like 10 years ago. So this is the second time, and the artists expanded from 8 artists to now 16 artists in this particular exhibition. And because we're in Thailand and the context over there is mainly Australian, so we were like, okay, how can we engage people here to think about different places in their lives and how they use places as their inspiration for making artwork. So that's why we hosted another talk in Thai last week by Thai artists and another artist who's based in Thailand who could speak Thai. So they talked about how they practice based on their environment here, based on their cultures here as Thais. And so, that was done last week. This week, we invite Kristof and Takanao to talk to us in English, obviously, about their experiences being expats and also to work and travel, going to different places, and how they use their inspirations to create their art. So before we get into the 2 artists' talk, let me just run through the exhibition, the intro briefly. So the key themes for the Poetics of Place in the main exhibition: memory and emotions. You can see work by Lindy McSwan, talking about that. Identity and belonging, sensory experiences, language and story, nature and landscape, architecture and built environments, time and temporality, spiritual and symbolic dimensions, politics and power, and lastly, artistic interpretation. So throughout the talk, please keep in mind, like some of these themes will pop up when we talk about their works, and then we can also share your experience. I don't know how many of you create, how many of you, enjoy art. We can also talk about that afterwards. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Kristof, and he'll be talking to us about his artwork. So Kristof, can you say your last name for us as well?
It's a difficult one, especially when you live in Thai. Ghekiere. Yeah, that's my last name. But you can call me Kristof. Yeah, okay. It's more easy.
So let me know when to hit.
Yes. So the work what was shown here since the opening of the main exhibition, it's on the table at the entrance there. It's a series of eight pieces based on, I will explain later, based on Kanang Sari. But my introduction is who I am as an artist, is it's observing and then interpretation and make it more abstract and then do something with it.
Can you speak up a little bit?
A bit louder?
Yeah, because that is actually the microphone for the video, but not for...
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are human beings. We're all stressed out in the world with around us, and very, very recent now. You see what things that happens in the Middle East, but also things in our daily life. We are stressed out, and sometimes we forget the balance and the peace that is in ourselves, but also in everything you see around us, in the nature, the landscape, in the objects, in the architecture. So I'm always looking to that to find the inner peace and the inner balance. It can be in natural objects. I have a series all made from piece of coral on the beach. I have, you can see later then, some series based on architecture, on buildings when I walk around. And the one we were talking about today is more the spiritual, giving an offer for peace and balance in our life. So what I do, I capture an image, some things I see when I walk around in the city or in nature. I capture it in my memory, or I capture it with my phone. And then later on, I make an interpretation, and then I use my brain but also use my heart and my feeling. So when you look to an image or you capture something, you feel, yeah, this gives me peace in the image. Um, then I take away all the rest that's for me it's a waste in the image, and then I'm looking to the essential line, to the essential shape, and that's the thing I would like to capture in a image. So it's always watching, capturing, taking a photo or from memory, analyzing, feeling, cut away, and find the inner purity of the object or the person or the building of even ourselves.
Hold on 1 second. Car 1725. Anyone? No? Okay. Sorry.
Yep. And then you come out, you end up in the balance of your life, and that's the main aspect, the aspect of my abstract work, to find that balance. So from this series, Kanangsari, what is Kanangsari? Or the small offers they make in, if people, you went to Bali before, um, every morning or even a few times during the day, at the entrance of every house, they put a small flower basket. It's called a Kalangsari. Um, very colorful, and it's to honor one of the Hindu gods. I've always forgot the name, but it's on the next slide. It's to honor a Hindu god and finding peace and balance for their life and their house. So, and they refresh it every morning. So that touched me a lot. So I took hundreds of pictures, and you see just a few of them over there on the table. But I took more than hundreds of those Kanangsari, and by looking at it, by taking the picture, by look to the differences, they're all different but all the same. I really find then a color piece or a line or an object that touched me, and that's then I took out of that image and created the eight artwork pieces over there. So it's from the Hindu god Ida Sang Hyang Vidiwasa. Yeah. Now you know why I cannot remember. Yes. And that are then the artworks that are created out of that those inside. Yes. But you better take a look after the talk to see them in real, because the reality is almost beautiful than the picture.
So for those of you who've seen the pieces up out there, did you figure out what the inspiration was from just looking at them? No? Okay. All right, I'm just curious if anyone picked up
But
the cues.
it's not, for me, it's not important what the inspiration is. And also, if I look, if I go here in the exhibition when I walk around, I'm always curious what would be the inspiration, but I look to myself what I feel about an artwork. It's what reaction gives it to you, which emotion it brings up, and if then the inspiration is a building or a person or whatever, that's then less important for me as an observer, as an observer of other artists.
Right, so there are two parts, like you as a creator,
Yeah.
and then another person looking at your
Yeah.
work. That person can make their own, his or her own
Yes.
personal interpretations.
And
right?
that's good.
Yeah.
There's no wrong and there's no right.
Right.
It's
Another
what you
layer
feel.
to the stories, right? Yeah. We just talked to one of the audience here today. Like she pointed out that one of Melinda Young's pieces in the front with the burnt wood, you know, even though her inspiration came from Australia, this lady here, she said that it reminded her of kind of like an an oven, like a fire pit, fire pit inside of a Japanese house in the winter. You know, so you can add your own stories to it. Yeah, so that's quite interesting when you also mentioned that. Okay, great. And then we'll come back to Kristof after this, but you know, um, อ๋อปิดไฟไหมหรือว่าเดี๋ยวนะคะได้งั้นปิด So Takanao will be the second
Yep.
artist, second speaker today.
Okay.
So, yep.
Yes, yeah, thanks for your story. It's beautiful, and I see many resonance between your work and the way how I work as well. So I myself, I'm a artist, has been a ceramicist, architect, and also a professor at the university. And I try to make a balance between idea, concept, and also a very pure reaction to the locus, the area, the site, the place. So the series of work that I am developing is the interpretation of the concept called wabi. So wabi is something that many Japanese try to explain the idea in a rather more abstract way, and you can only feel it by experience. But also you can define it in a way that wabi is something when you find lacking. So this is a very authentic image of wabi. Winter, no leaves, cloudy day, and I mean, example in Tokyo, in a rainy day, in winter, everything looks very gray and monotone. And then you find something little negative, lacking, or too monochrome. But you can also find beauty in when things are lacking. So wabi developed around 450 years ago when Japanese were fascinated with many artifacts were coming from outside Japan. Many products were produced in China, Korea. They came to Japan, and many samurai, merchant, they fascinated. Meanwhile, they didn't put so much value on what they have within themselves. They find many of the Japanese product incomplete, not perfect, rough, immature, incomplete, and they didn't appreciate. But there's a one tea master, Rikyu. He came out and said, "Why don't you look at the latent beauty within what you don't pay so much value to it? There is a beauty of lacking, what he called wabi." So I want to make this idea of wabi to be international concept in which using this concept helps you to access for something which is lacking in each society, and you can try to embrace this latent beauty which is less appreciated in different parts of the places. Next, please. So this is one of my favorite painting by Precha Tautong. He's a Thai artist, and he make many painting of the Thai temples when the light is hitting. And in Thailand, there is a particular beauty developed with the unique environment. So as mentioned, Tokyo, in winter time, very gray, monotonous, but in summertime, light gets quite high. So that autumn and spring become quite colorful with the cherry blossom and also maple trees, so that the color always changes. And what is paint is the change of light and nature, which constantly changes. So in a way, many buildings, they don't need to paint so much because the environment paints the building for them. But Thailand, not the case, because light is very homogeneous between dry season, hot season, rainy season. Light is very white and strong. So I believe that within this very unique, rich environment, that Thai architecture developed to have two things. In my perspective, one is the use of color. There's a rich use of color and also rich use of profiles that project shadows. So I think this image really helps to capture the die-hard essence of the Thai aesthetic. And so you can see this light, shadow, profiles, color, that's all embedded within this image. Next, please. So what I'm doing here is that I made a new concept called tropical wabi. So that wabi, as mentioned, it's about the way in which you discover something is lacking in each society. So in Thailand, I apply this idea and try to use the view through this concept. And I start to recognize that me as a professor teaching in a university, many students get fascinated with something coming from outside. European culture, Japanese culture, American culture, but less appreciating of what they already have. And I feel a little shame. So I thought I can embrace this beauty of Thai authentic use of color and profiles. And meanwhile, there's another idea, which is that the wabi is a concept that deeply associated with the Japanese matcha tea culture. And but the tea culture itself is not super original to Japan. It's actually started in China. So the oldest way to enjoy tea is you can find it in Thailand already. That they chew tea. So chewing tea is the oldest way for human to enjoy tea. And then later, they start to convert into powder, almost like a medicine. And then they start to dilute this powder with a spice in Tang Dynasty time. And then they start to omit spices and improve the quality of tea and start to make powder tea in Song Dynasty time. And this came to Japan. And meanwhile, in Ming Dynasty time, the emperor said, no more matcha. So powder tea disappeared in Chinese history. But Japanese managed to foster. So Thailand now, matcha is becoming a very trendy culture. And everyone is drinking matcha, which is great. But I don't want to end it just as a popular culture. I also want to see how this foreign culture landing into Thailand become new Thai culture. So these two idea is colliding in an expression of a new tables. So these are the set of tables reflecting the idea of tropical wabi as a examination of how this concept can be actualized while I try to reflect my direct reaction to the color, profile, nature, like fruit market, vegetable market, buildings that full of colors, full of profiles, and it's so inspiring. And so I want to bring this beauty in a form of ceramics. Next, please. So I do it also in a scale of architecture as well. So this is one of the tea house that I constructed in TCDC, Thai Design Center nearby. This yellow colorful lace is a laser cut pattern of the concrete blocks that Thai place with hundreds of different variation of pattern, which works as a ventilation. But today, not many people find it exciting or they don't pay attention so much. But I found this variation and the shape so exciting. So decided to play with these patterns. Next, please. And also, this is the quite recent display at the emperor's birthday reception that I arranged this series of tables in a color wheel as a way to kind of manifesto the concept also. Next, please. Yeah, so that's pretty much about the type of work I'm doing. Thank you.
But also when he talks about colors, the Thai colors, the lacking, I think a few Thais here have have you heard of the word like สีมันลาว Any Thais? สีที่มันฉูดฉาดมากเกินไปอย่างเงี้ยค่ะสีมันลาวจังเลยอะมันฟังดูแบบ negative. So he wants to embrace the negativity relating to all these like bright colors, pure red, pure green, pure yellow, all these clashing colors that we see a lot in Thai culture. He wanted to embrace that and present it in a new wabi type. So that's why the tropical wabi. So yeah. So I'm just going to do a quick recap of what we have been talking to today, and then we can explore with questions and sharing session. So we explore the idea of cultural and aesthetic hybridity through the works of the two artists, whose creative practices are shaped by movement across geography, culture, visual traditions. Our speakers just don't document different places through collections of images, but they also absorb them, respond to them, reflect, and then allow them to shape the way they see things and express through their artworks. And the results are artwork that live between worlds, blending visual languages, tropical wabi, um, layering color references, the Kanangsari, and reflecting the complexity of being at home everywhere and nowhere at all, because they are citizen of the world, traveling around and getting inspired by everything. So I would like to invite the public, the audience, to also share your stories about how I see many of you are expats. So you have moved to Thailand, obviously. Have you experienced something similar to what the two artists have been experiences? Or if you have any questions about their practices, please feel free to share.
Question. I'm just wondering the, the the journey for you from when you get the image and the inspiration and it starts working. How do you how do you know how long that journey takes, and when do you know when you've reached what you want to represent? Does that make sense? Yeah.
You never know up front. That's a start, and you see, the inspiration mainly, in my case, inspiration comes from things I see and observe and taking pictures, and sometimes I let them rest for months and even more than a year, and then suddenly when I'm rearranging some things in my suit, they pop up again, or in my memory they pop up again, and then you start, okay, and then you see, oh, and I didn't notice that in that image. That really touched me, and then you start working in it, and sometimes a sketch, sometimes you zoom in, and if it's an image you took by your phone or your camera, you zoom in a lot. I always zoom in sometimes, and then you capture that, you put it inside again, and then after some weeks, yeah, and then you start creating. So, and then other times it just, you walk around, you see something, and say, okay, that's it. And then the day after, I immediately start, and because that's, yeah, you cannot put really one. It's yeah. It's a matter of, in my case, it's more feeling than thinking. So when you feel, okay, this is it, this is for me essential in that image, then I'm working on it a bit further and deeper. Um, Sometimes I don't. If you first sight you see something, and that could be something, but it doesn't come, and okay, forget about it. Maybe later it will come, maybe not.
So, for to answer your question, I think the act of making tells what they want to be or what they are, and it took me some time that me as being living in Singapore prior to Thailand, I'm quite comfortable with this tropical environment for some time. But in the beginning, I was making more of the so-called Japanese style works. But I started to have a question of making these pieces under the strong light. There's something quite not right. That usually Japanese table that works really well in a dim light, little dark space that they want to harmonize with the space. But under the strong light and the rich nature that I see, I start to feel that these pieces want to be more colorful, wants to be more sculptural, so that it's a kind of a dialogue between the place, material, and myself. And in a way, this kind of logical way to rationalize the idea is kind of comes later of the things that I did. They want to be defined. They want to be explained. So I use the other side of thinking to rationalize what it means. But meanwhile, the way how I make it, I try to put myself very direct in a way how I negotiate with the place and the material. So yeah, that's
Any other questions? Yeah?
I heard about the word wabi a long time ago. I'm not artist. I just doing something else. At first, I thought it's kind of minimalist. The way they display everything with the wabi concept. Are they the same?
okay. Um, Thank you for this question, and it's a very important question that wabi itself, at the hardcore concept, which is, as mentioned, is about the way you discover this latent beauty of lacking. And in the case of Japan, the artist Rikyu, he tried to apply the concept in a physical form. So when he applied, he designed a tea house example. So tea house that he designed, the wall is an incomplete wall, so that you see this kind of construction material exposed. And then he said it's beautiful. The space is 180 by 180 by 180. And Rikyu himself was almost my height, 180. So the space is almost about his embodiment of his body towards the space. Light is very limited, only 3 windows. And there are many dark spaces that it's something that he tried to embrace the quality of lacking in a Japanese context to be physicalized. And so to me, it's more of a sub-concept of being minimalistic, being incomplete, being simple, being dark. And so these are the ideas that is the sub-concept emerging from the uh, perspective through the wabi. So when you use the idea of wabi in a different context, the execution can become very different. So wabi itself, I think, is a very pure concept. But the way how you orient the wabi, then the meaning kind of changes. So you're absolutely right that the wabi as an interpretation, it contains minimalism and simplicity, incompletion, roughness, it's all included. But when you apply this in a different context, meaning kind of changes the way how you see something is lacking in other places. So,
So I I know. Is that okay like this? Yeah, I know more the expression wabi sabi. Like I have a book about it, and is that the same thing? Because I remember it has to do with imperfection also. Is that like the same concept?
uh, okay, sorry, Chris. So wabi sabi is actually the mixed idea, or I'll call it more like a mood word, that it expresses some certain mood, but it doesn't make a particular definition. And it started off by the British ceramicist Bernard Leach. He involved with the Mingei movement, and later it's become studio pottery movement, made a global influences. And he wrote an essay called Wabi Sabi Shibui. So that since then, these ideas tend to blend together to express some kind of mood of defining the mood of the space. But fundamentally, wabi is a beauty of lacking, and sabi is a beauty of degradation and a beauty of being solitude or lonely. So it's a slightly different idea. And when we try to describe the aesthetic of a tea culture, we only use wabi for quite some time. Then later, there's another idea, kire sabi, which is a little different from wabi. Kire sabi is almost perfect, but not perfect. And so there are several different concepts. And so I personally think that when we think conceptually, I try to slice and then try to separate each ideas in its pure form. So when it comes together, it's become a little more abstract as an idea. So I personally, like example in Thailand, there's a word called Thainess. So Thainess is a very abstract mood word that it's hard to get, because when someone try to explain about how Thai culture is, and then when you answer that Thai culture is all about Thainess, does it explains? It's about the mood and feeling. So that's why in a university I try to separate this concept, which is very big mountain or kind of rock, so that I think it's works better when you try to slice it to find what is make this mood. So this is how I try to see. But yes, indeed, that wabi-sabi is considered in the way how you understand is correct. But I would try to refrain in my personal approach.
Mm. Yeah, and otherwise, just I'm also expat, like you said, just moved here 5 months ago from Australia, and yeah, I'm an artist, and I also I do like abstract works, which sound a bit like yours, like wanting to create peace, and also I do life drawings, which are very Japanese calligraphic, like that kind of thing, quite abstract, and also wanting to bring people into the moment with them. And yeah, and about Bangkok, what I love is the creativity they put into buildings and food. I mean, somebody said there's not enough time in a life to see everything here, and there's so many contrasts. And I like that there's not just one style of building, but everybody does their own thing, creating this colorful palette. And yeah, and the food that is so important in Thailand. I'm sure that's part of Thainess, how important that is for them, and they're getting more and more creative. So that's sort of what I enjoy so far. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, you're completely right. I'm here now 6.5 years, I think, in Bangkok. And every day when I walk around, you see new things, you feel new things, you observe new things. And especially this neighborhood here around here. Maybe some of you, 2 years ago, I was here also participate in a group exhibition. And there was one series of a work of me from Talat Noi. And it was all pictures I took in that neighborhood, lovely neighborhood, but also the detail and the essential lines. On the bench there's now a view from my bedroom. And I just discovered it. I think 3 months ago. That building, our neighbor house, the house of the neighbor. That was every morning I open my curtain, and after 4 years, because we moved house, after 4 years, I just noticed, oh, that image I should do something. So every day you discover indeed new things in the city.
I'm thinking also to do a series of my bedroom when I see more like the old house, the
Yeah.
windows and the rustiness.
Yeah. There too, it's just the aircon machine.
Yeah.
The window and an aircon and capture.
I have a question for Kristof.
Yeah.
You start with supposedly a complete picture of certain elements you want to capture,
Yeah.
and then you start removing
Yes.
elements and
Yeah.
lines and
Yeah.
color. What emotionally, what are you trying to reach to? When how do you know when to stop? What state of emotion is it different for each picture, or is there?
Uh, I stop when I feel the purity and the balance. Yeah.
That's quite personal. That's your
Yeah. The balance while I'm painting, and the most difficult thing for a painter is know when you need to stop, because the next step then it's totally screwed. If you don't, and especially in your early days when you start doing it, you have a lot of uh, paintings you can or recover and start all over again or throwing away. The moment to stop is the most difficult one. And in my case, it's just the feeling. It's really the feeling. Okay, this is now balanced. I stop. and also in taking away the things.
So when you look back all the years, you've been here 6 years, the
Hmm?
transitions of your work, uh, do you notice any changes or anything that shift in your practice over the years?
Yes, I notice changes. I am after more than 6 years, I'm more and more influenced by Thailand and Asia, Southeast Asia. Before, I think in my earlier work, when I'm still living in Belgium, was even more was abstract in the way European look to abstract. It's more the rational thing of looking at it. And after being here for a while, it's more emotionally and spiritual. It's really the inner feeling of balance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So from what I have also gathered, like being curious, keeping your eyes open, whether it's your hometown or when you travel, that brings inspiration, like you're kind of like locking in all the information, filing it away in your head, and then one day it could become an inspiration for your artwork, right? Okay. And another point that I captured was the fact that um, different places, even though like with the same objects, like when you place, we're talking about place, but when you place, actually place as a verb, place the same object in a different setting, different culture, they change their meanings and they change the context. Under the different lights, you see different things, right? So that's another interesting things that maybe you guys want to touch on it a little bit, or same object you mentioned, Japanese tea bowl needs to be seen in kind of like semi-darkness environment, but now in this particular place in Thailand it's too bright. I remember the first time I met Takanao, we were setting up an exhibition of tea bowls in that room and we were doing the lighting. He came in and I asked him, like, what do you think about the lighting? He said it's too bright, but while at the same time when we were setting up we thought it was too dark. But for him, being a Japanese person coming in, knowing more about the culture, the tea bowls more than we do, he has the wisdom that we don't have. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit like an animal in nature. That animals are not necessarily same or as a nature. I mean, they have their own independency. They have their own unique appearance, but they also symbiosis live with the nature. So the ceramic is also something that live with the environment, so that they need to have a good synergy or symbiosis with the light, the color, texture. That's how I feel when I confront. So yeah, I treat ceramic as their own independent entity, but they also belong to this big ecology of the place, I think. So that's a kind of relationship. I feel.
And for Kristof, like Mark asked you about if the work has changed a bit since you moved here. I just asked him when he was setting up his pieces out there where he found his wood. Where did you find them
The
now?
wood.
His paintings are mainly on wood.
So my base, my painting is recycled wood. So I never a new cut plank. It's all recycled from old buildings or waste wood from sawmills that they have cut off pieces and they throw away. That I recover and I use it to paint on. Yeah, now my pieces are tropical wood from here, and they are coming from demolition of old houses. Sometimes I'm lucky I have a long plank, but most of the time, like you see there, it's small pieces recovery. Um, and my old pieces of wood are European wood. That's also a big difference. And the ones who were shown here 2 years ago that were still on oak, European oak, and now it's teak or old teak or other local wood species. Can be durian wood or whatever.
I think your point is interesting because usually for local Thai people, they tend to refrain using old Thai wood as they believe that there's a spirit, P, live in old timber. So when I work on one of the interior near here, I was asking the owner, why don't we use old teakwood for the counter, which is beautiful? And she said, no, no, there will be ghost in it. And it's like, okay, then what about Japanese timber? And she said, no problem. I don't understand the ghost. So, okay. So we use Japanese timber. And so I like the way that, because I think local would refrain from using these
So
materials.
it will be very difficult now to sell my work,
No.
my recent work in Thailand.
Well, there's another Belgian next door
Yeah, yeah.
who
And he
sells
also
furniture made of old reclaimed wood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he sells.
Yeah, but mainly to Europeans.
That's true.
But I want to point out the image here. I really like the idea that he just looks around at cement blocks, something that we take for granted. They said like you don't look at your own backyard because it's always there, but someone else from a different culture, a different country will see new things from the old mundane items, right? So I think that's very interesting, and it's a nice spin to show how being from different culture, moving around, getting to see things can help activate your eyes the way you're seeing things. Yeah. Any questions or comments from other people? Yeah. You first.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
A question for both, in fact, for both of you. The um, generally, when people come abroad to another culture, it's it's used that they become more conservative about their own culture. You have societies who comes from Europe going to America or go to Asia, and when they are together, they will become more conservative about their own principles from their culture than in the homeland. And when I hear you speak today, also both, you speak a lot about your own culture. So is it not that by being here, instead of being more influenced by the local culture, you become more retrospective of your own culture? That's what I feel a little bit. It's my question if you feel it that way as well.
Yes, I mean, yeah, thank you for a really interesting question. And I have to say yes to some extent that it's almost like a fish in a water when fish never think about presence of water. And when a fish is out from water, they start to understand the presence of water. So it's something similar that me being a kind of drifter, studying in Europe, working in different parts of the world that helps to keep some distance from my home country, Japan. That helps me to see the unique entity in a more objective, somehow seizable way. But it does not necessarily making me being conservative in some sense. That to me, the way how I see it is more about kind of exchanges that happening over the different cultures. That these exchanges in a specific places start to gain its own authenticity and uniqueness. So I do have a lot of respect for my own culture, of course, but it does not make me very conservative, but to me become more respectful to other culture as a form of exchanges, and also feel that it's something that it's um, what I was going to say. Um, yes. But that's kind of idea, yeah. So,
I agree. I would also not use the word conservative, but of course you cannot deny your origin. You never can. I'm raised in Belgium. My both parents are Belgian, so you go to school there, so you get the culture, the everything from there. But by traveling around, I also lived before in Malaysia, sometime, then back to Europe, then back here. So yeah, you capture the thing. You still have your own grounds, your base, and then you add the things that you see and you live around on it. And maybe in terms of style, it's still quite European, my work. You cannot deny that. But you see more and more elements coming in from the place you live, and that the place you call your home now. Now today, Bangkok is my home. It's not longer Ghent or in Belgium. It's here. So that's the things you add on. Yeah. But you, of course, you still have your own origin and your tradition from the past. And I think it would also feel very strange to throw everything away, because then you also it would create conflict. You still have your history, and we have, yeah, and the same also for people like people in Asia. You also have your history, and be proud of it, and use the good things from your own, and mix it and mingle with the nice things from here.
I have a friend whose kid is half Thai, half American. When she was here, like she's more like an American girl living here in Bangkok. But then when she went to school in the US, she wanted to embrace her Thainess. Just because she's a step out of the society and she's missing something about Thai culture, and she wanted to embrace that a little bit more. And I think, that's something that, like Takanao was saying, is like, when you're out of your element, whatever that is, you didn't realize how it affected you until you're removed out of that kind of environment or elements, and then you start appreciating it again. But I could see that, I heard also a lot of conservative practitioners, well, not conservative, let's put it this way. Some people who have not been exposed to different cultures, they think that they should adopt the Western view. But people who have moved outside, they appreciate their cultures a little bit more. So when they come back, they incorporate, from what I noticed, they incorporate the Thainess, whatever that's called, into their works a little bit more, because they seem to appreciate it a bit more. It's not saying no to it. It's more like embracing it a little bit more. Yeah. We have another question. Oh, sorry, Kristof has something to add.
I see it now to my daughters. They're 100% Belgian, but they lived here a few years in Asia, and the way they live now back in Belgium, they're studying there at university. They also took that kindness, or that respectful with other people and things, and they brought it from Asia back to Belgium. So even, yeah, they were not born here, they were not raised here, but they lived a few years, and you really see that.
I'm really enjoying the talk so far, and I'm aware that when artists make work, they make work with a tone, and a tone could be the emotion that goes with their practice. Um, so I'd like to ask both of you, if you have a tone to your artwork, could it be pessimistic, optimistic, humorous, cynical? Lately, I've been really enjoying humorous artists that incorporate humor, um, like Francis Bacon. I feel like some of his motifs are humorous. You might also see humor in the works of cynical realism from some artists in China. So, do you guys have a tone? Could it be, could we say like humorous, or conservative, optimistic, pessimistic about the world?
Yes, of course, and it reflects how you feel at that moment. We all have better times, and we all have more stressy times, and it's always, in my case, it has an impact on. There are times that my work is more optimistic and colorful, and there are times that my work is a little bit more grayish and more. The tone is a bit. I would not say sad, but yeah, the melancholy is a melancholy film over the work, and it has to do about how you're feeling at that moment, and I think nobody can say that he was always optimistic every day. There are moments in our life that it's a bit more hard and a bit tougher, and then, but luckily the other moments also pop up, and then you have.
So for me, I make ceramic when I want to make ceramic. So it must be the moment that I feel correct, so that I'm relaxed. I do sometimes take meditation. I take some tea, and so cause it's but I don't want to be too intentional. I want to make my ceramic. Of course, there's a big image, big idea as a concept. But when I make it, I want to make myself very pure. The way how I talk with the clay and the talk with the glazing. It's really about the conversation, interplay between what is there, where am I, and then what I am talking with, so that I need to be in a right moment. But what it's bring to is about, to me, it's, I think ultimately it's a joy. And it's because a lot of time I make many engagement with the classics, like classic of a table that they made in China, Korea, Japan, 400, 500, 1000 years, or sometimes European. They make amazing ceramic as well. Like Luciri, I highly respect her. She makes such amazing pieces. There's love and joy in it. And when I touch these pieces, because I don't like works behind the glass box, I want to touch them. I want to use them, and I want to really kind of dance or interplay with them. And the moment when I really hold it, then I can really communicate with the makers. And so that's the kind of moment that I feel kind of joy of conversation and then and interpretation in me. So I want to express this in a very pure format of not thinking about this so much, but this should come in more natural way. So that's why I need to be in a kind of moment, relax and very easy and the moment that I feel right. So that's how I think.
Um, do you like made sake glass with pottery as well? How come people drink in the same table with different kind of sake glass?
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, not only sake glass, but tea bowl, or many utensils also. That it's again, it's about kind of interplay between the contents and container, in my opinion. So technically speaking, I started off my career by making sake cups, and I make many different, and I have myself 20 different version of ceramic, porcelain, glass, pewter, different type of material, different type of form, and the same sake tastes different. Literally, they're different. And likewise for T-bowl as well, how you hold it. I mean, always I want to bring some essence of touching. The, I mean, you know, it's almost like I have daughter, and I really love her daughter when I carried when she was like 2 or 3. Very tender, soft. I don't want to let her go. This kind of feeling of the adorable kind of touch, which is something that I want to express. But the type of form can go like open up, close, in a different shapes, and that brings a different same tea, but can be enjoyed in a different way. So that's kind of comes with the joy that you can play with the your feeling. The as Kristof said that the way how you see things is somehow quite subjective. It may differ from an artist's pure intention. So I think it's interesting the way how you kind of find something and try to find your own meaning and value in terms of contents and container combination. So I think it's therefore really the this joy and playfulness of how you find fun with these items.
I think when we talk about making art, you know, there's a concept and there's a skill and there's something in between is the materials, right? So, you know, you point out the importance of materials in making the art pieces, different types of woods, you know, different types of ceramics, glass, metal, and they all give you different types of experiences. It's the same thing with art spaces. You know, the same kind of artwork could be displayed in different art spaces and they could feel totally different. And when you also mentioned that, you know, artists have different moods and tones for their works, we also inject our own mood and tone onto their works also. When you mention Francis Bacon, what do you normally think of Francis Bacon? Yeah, I wouldn't think of the word like humor, but, you know, like, but that's your view, right? So it's okay. We all have different lens of how to look at things.
If you look at some of these motifs
Mm.
and some of these languages, I think it's funny. I think it's whimsical. I think it's like
So yeah, it's good that you mentioned that because everyone can inject their own interpretations onto the artworks. You could see Francis Bacon one way, you could see Francis Bacon another way. There's no right way, you know, because Francis Bacon is not here for us to ask him personally, you know, what did you have in mind when you painted that? So we all have, artwork is a two-way communication. The artists give 50%. I talked to artists, most of them said when the artwork leaves the studio, it's out of their control. It's the viewer, the curators, the writers, or whoever wants to be talking about that particular piece of art. So we have the freedom to interact with the artworks as well. Yeah.
question for
Yes.
Takanao. I know, again, I don't know much about ceramics
Okay.
and how to make it, but what I can gauge is you only can control a certain percent of your final product. You have an image of what it's supposed to look like. You have desire for what it's would shape like, but at the end of the day, how much of it is in
Okay, that's interesting.
much of your
I think it also goes with I think Kristof work as well. That I want to answer first. In a way, again, it's an interplay between material to myself and the place always. And but example, ceramic, it shrinks 15% in firing. And when you go to a Japanese ceramic studio, they put a little shrine on top of the kiln because they don't know what's coming. So it's very old, one of the oldest human production, which is still continuing until today. And it's so funny that until today, we cannot 100% control. And there's something beautiful about something which is beyond our hands. And so it's about the way how you confront with something that you cannot achieve. And then when I make it, there are two things, I think. One is what clay wants to be, because each clay has their own nature and character. And each ramp of clay that I make, they have slightly different character, even if it's the same clay. So, but I don't just follow what they want to be. Of course, I have my own way of confronting with the material. That what's this material try to be and what I love the most. So it's a kind of interplay between what clay wants to be, what I want clay to be, and then there's certain moment, like I think it's same attitude that when to finish. Is there's a moment that when I see it, I feel it's has its own character, its individuality, and then I just let it go. Because I nowadays I try not to touch so much that I want to keep the character of clay itself. Because before I try to control too much, but the more I make, I try to let clay be what they really want to be with the way how I try to make actualize what they want to be in a kind of deeper kind of voices that the clay are saying. So, so I don't see what it should be. It's always the what clay wants to be, what ceramic wants to be, and then how I see it, how I feel it, and then it's the outcome that is the process, but of the outcome. But I don't see the end image from the beginning. Yeah. That's it. It's so helpful to have a daughter that is controllable.
I follow you. Of course sometimes you have an idea and an image, but the combination of your material and yeah, in my case it's wood and paint. It's very rare that you reach that image you have in your head. So it's a process. It's a process you go through, and then in my case it's oil painting, so it also needs to dry, so it takes several weeks to finish it. So it's a process, and along the way, yeah, that image that you originally had, after a few weeks you've forgotten already. It evolves in a direction, and it evolves at the moment, and now, okay, now stop. Yeah.
But I like your question because me as also being a designer, I'm contradicting myself. That being a designer as an architect, I need to have clearer vision of what it wants to be. So rather than so in a ceramic making, it's more direct communication. But as an architecture, I always make with a concept and detail, which I make a very strict framework that helps to kind of formalize the design naturally. And so but what I'm trying to do is that now I'm trying to bring the attitude of making ceramic to architecture, because I'm trying to see myself of how can architecture be more free from this kind of very honest attitude. Because me as being a designer, I sometimes feel that I've been too intentional when I make it. So I'm trying to seek for a way to liberate myself when I make a more physical, larger execution. So that's a kind of question I'm still asking. And yeah, so thank you for putting this question.
Any other questions? Yeah.
I'd like to hear both of the artists talk more about the significance of their materials, say pigment or clay, with regards to the locality. Do you guys ever use Thai pigment or Thai? I bet you use Thai clay, but do you both use Thai pigments?
Thai pigment? Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And could you talk to the significance of that in your work, whether it has a significance or not? Since uh, we're talking about themes like nationality and belonging, and in Thailand.
In my case, it's only the base, the wood is local. So
Okay.
my paint is just general good, not the high, good quality oil paint. But I'm not playing or not still playing. It's maybe a good idea, but I'm not playing around with local pigments or local colors. But of course, the wood itself gives you already a texture and a color and a texture itself. If you use oak, it's more lighter. The dark redwood gives you another feeling, of course, but not in the pigments.
But for your piece, you're not doing like total cover up to some base of the wood, the color of the wood will still come up.
Some pieces I leave open. I don't paint everything. Some of them are fully paint, but at least I always use the structure of the wood. Some of the old planks have even saw cuts or cracks. I leave it like that. So that already gives you the wood itself, the structure gives you a first layer. That's your base layer. And then by adding your paint, you create the next layer. So um, and to combine it with your question, Mark, it says also okay, you at the start you have that image in your head of I would like to do something in with that. I select then also a piece of wood that would fit into it. So I have a bunch of planks and other pieces, and then I look to them. Okay, here I see that crack or that structure that could be useful in this work, for sure. And indeed, sometimes I leave open space, open wood, the original wood visible. Sometimes it's covered. It's a combination depending on what I can use.
I just want to follow up your idea that I love the way how you not complete fully that you see this kind of bottom layer of the material. Because when a Western painting came to Japan, Japanese had a difficulty of how they can absorb Western painting and Japanese painting, which is fundamentally different. And so some Japanese artists start to realize that by not completing the painting, it starts to see more vibrance and energy and expression. So that I don't know. I like the way how you try to not to complete by kind of embracing the presence of the local material. For me, yeah, clay. I use many clay from Chiang Mai, and because I'm a friend with a ceramicist village, so that's the kind of majority of works that I make. And also I get clay from Kokret. That's two sources, so it's quite local. But meanwhile, I also bring clay from Japan, and I like the way that how like myself come from Japan, live in Thailand, how this foreign clay come to Thailand and how I can make something with it. And of course, it's quite different the way how I make clay in Japan with other clay. So that's I do also. And with the pigment, we call it glazing. Glazing is something a little more technical because we fire around 1,200 degrees or 1,000 degrees, which is very high in temperature. So you cannot put anything. It has to be something quite specific. But in a way, it's like a Kristof that also try to hunt, what is gives the possible inspiration. But for me, with a little more scientific way, that how can this become blazing? So one time, I went around the chicken grill, Guyana places, and then they use eucalyptus as a hardwood for firing, and then they use a metal grill to grill chicken. So there's a metal and the ash already mixed together. This is the ingredients for celadon. So I made a chicken grill celadon, which become quite nice. It's a whitish color. Here there's also my collection. This is Skotai, white celadon, and that's kind of I think it's similar mixture that it makes this very nice classical celadon color. So yes, I do get the local ingredients and the color as well. I mean, sometimes I get imported color, but yeah, it's how I get inspired. So
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have any artists, any makers besides you? Anyone? No? Ah, okay. What kind of artwork do you make?
Painting.
Paintings. Okay. Right, right. And you? Oh, you're a silversmith. Ah, okay. Right, right. One thing that I found is that, art is it's a language, right? So we have to be able to communicate to different people around the world, not just in our community. So the more we can communicate, even though we have our uniqueness and whatever, we still have to communicate to the general public. And the more we can communicate to as many people as possible, that's the better. Like, pieces from Australia. People who've been to Australia might click with certain kind of expressions and materials, but there's some similarities here as well. So people from here could get their ideas. But if we become too specific to our culture, then it's going to be harder to expand out. What's your thought on this?
yeah, it's I think it's an advantage of me being a foreigner here that really helps to see things from little distance, so that I can have kind of two brain. One is me being resident here, and also me being a foreigner, so that I can have a view of being a kind of inner eye as well as an outsider's eye at the same time. And I think I think it's an advantage for being quite not intentional, but helps to see the structure or form of the uniqueness, which I can use it as a strategy, I think.
Well, I refer a bit to what I told before also on the question of here. Yeah, it's you have your own identity and your own origin, and then you put extra layers of all the places you've been and the place you are right now, and it's a combination of that, and it makes. Um, of course, it would be if you say I want to fully adapt me to the place I am now, and creating things that is more familiar to, yeah, then you also lie a bit to yourself, and you need to keep on your own identity as well. And it's a mix, and because I would never be able to make the high poppy art, which is very popular now, if you walk around in the city. So that doesn't fit me, because it doesn't match with my identity. But of course, you use aspects and things you see, things you feel, what's happening around you.
Yeah, I asked that question because I just came back from Dubai, and I went there and I asked commercial galleries over there whether they would consider exhibiting works of non-Middle Eastern artists. They said they would, but the subject matters would have to be global enough for people over there to understand, to connect to. Let's say we have someone talking about the local politics here in Thailand. It's not going to work over there, you know. So that's why I was like, subject, topics, and language. It, as an artist, you know, you have to think about that also, right? Yeah, where do you want your work to go? If you want your work to go to different places, they have to be able to work with different places, the context of different places as well.
Of course, the more political your work is, the more, yeah, in both our cases, not political, so it makes it a little bit easier to spread around. But yeah, of course, yeah, yeah, that's true. But that art, the political art, is also very important to spread the ideas and spread diversity and acceptance in the world, of course.
I think it all comes down to how we can expand the territory of the new kind of horizon. Because for me, as being artist, ceramicist, and architect, I really want to expand the way the things that we never verbalize or recognize to be expanded. It's almost like in a cave with a little light to open up the field that the people never recognize. And that's for my personal feeling that I feel responsible for opening up a new horizon that not many people has been able to see and then can share. Because we're living in a new, we're building a new time, and so I really feel that there's something that's as a part of work of artists as a way to help show the way. Not many people are able to see, not many people are able to verbalize. That's something we have a little better eyes that helps to share things to others. So that's something I feel, regardless of this particular constraint between domesticity or being political or not. I think it's really about this sort of effort, simultaneous effort for extending the territory.
I think also for me personally, as someone who likes to go to look at art, I'm always interested in seeing something that's different to my own experience and my own place and the things that I understand. So actually it being different, for me personally, is a plus because it will give me a new perspective, a new opportunity to reassess something in a different perspective.
I mean, if you look at the exhibition in this room, there's on the tin cans on the outside here, the work is very political. She's commenting on the political situation in Australia. But the way she's presenting it, this is work by Anna Davern. The way she's presenting it is very poetic, very humorous. So, it's approachable from all sides of the political sphere. They can read this work with their own interpretation, but they're not upfront and kind of like telling you what to think. So, work like that, it's different. It's talking about some hard subjects, but it could also, have its own place in commercial space like this. Any last comments before we wrap up for today? If not, any last words from our artists?
First of all, thank you for coming and joining, and also very interesting questions we received from you. It's always nice to have an audience that interacts and not a one-way communication. So thank you for that. And then, yeah, and even if you don't dare to speak out in the group, you feel free to talk to us now afterwards as well. Or if you want to take a look around to the works and you want some more explanation about my feelings about my own work, and or share your feelings, then feel free.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Thank you, Kunati, for inviting me and then sharing conversation with you, and then for all of you coming for the talk. And it's such a great opportunity to share the ideas. And it's because work itself, in a way, it's a cycle of interpretation that you can see and you can make your own meaning. But meanwhile, behind the what you see, there's also makers that they put our own intention. So I think it's a great opportunity really to kind of share what is behind, which I think I still think that when you confront with artwork, it should be quite direct and confront with a kind of pure feeling. But I think it's also doesn't disturb the way how you see things if you know a bit of a background for how we feel behind. So thanks so much for the opportunity.
So even though you know that the works come from old houses, you know that there's no ghost coming with it. But thank you so much for coming today, for spending an afternoon with us on a Sunday afternoon. It's a very particular time, family time. But if you'd like to see more activities like this or join our activities like this, please make sure you add our line @ so when we have our next event, you'll be informed about it. And we will try to have both like Thai activities in Thai for the local audience here, as well as activities for English for the expat community here. But again, afterwards, please stick around, look at the artworks that the artist brought. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And thank you so very much. And have a safe trip home. Thank you. Thank you, the artist. I can't. Yeah, thank you so much. I will learn how to pronounce your last name properly next time. No.